Ewan McGregor is great.
They said you were the best in the Parsec.
Welcome to
Parsec Passion,
a podcast about Star Wars shows on Disney+. My name's Bubba, and with me is someone worse than a jackabeast. It's Catfish. Catfish, how you doing?
I'm so pleased to be back. You know what, Bubba? First,
What?
I'd just like to recap our previous episodes of Obi-Wan. Oh, wait a second. There were none. But still, we could do a recap. I'm very excited. We are talking about
Obi-Wan Kenobi, the new Disney Plus show.
Yes.
Episodes 1 and 2, as they're known, Part 1 and Part 2. That's
No,
how it's
that's
literally listed, the number 2, period, and then written in text, Part 2, is how Disney is dividing these episodes.
I've got my own names for these episodes,
Oh,
Bubba.
you do?
Yeah, episode 1 is called Who Dis?
Oh, no. And what's episode 2 about?
Episode 2 is called The First Taste is Free.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it doesn't matter
drugs.
what it is. Drugs. It could
Drugs.
be
Spice, delicious spice.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
You know, the kid is like, try a little bit and then come back for more.
Love it. Hey, we are part of the Double P Media podcast team. You can reach us on social media at Double PHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at Double PHQ.
Wow.
We want you to search at Double PHQ on your social media app. If you don't see it, that means we're too lazy to have filled out on that social media app. But if you do find us on your social media app of choice,
What will I get?
please like, subscribe, follow us, whatever it takes. We want you on this journey back to the prequels.
Bubba?
Yeah.
I may spoil this because you
What?
may already have an idea of where you want to put this, but I'm going to
Okay.
say this right now,
Say
Bubba.
it. Okay.
Concomitant, along with the first weekend of Obi-Wan Kenobi, where they released 2 episodes. Episode 1, Who Dis? And Episode 2, The First Taste is Free.
Yeah.
There was Star Wars Celebration 2022. And Bubba,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, we went and we got some stuff from there. And at the end of this series, we're going to give away some of that stuff to some of our Double L's.
Wait, Double L?
Yeah, those are called our loyal listeners. And those are
Oh.
people who reach out to us on social media, who retweet our tweets about the show, who comment on any of the different areas in which the podcast is on. Bubba, where are those areas going to be?
It's on Apple Podcasts,
Got it?
Spotify,
Wow.
Stitcher,
Uh-huh.
Amazon Music. It is on, believe it or not, it is on.
I can't believe it. Audible? Holy cow. Are you going to be able to hear our voices on the beautiful visual medium of YouTube?
You will be able to listen to this
Wow.
on YouTube. So, hey, once again, follow, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. If you're on Spotify, if you're on Apple Podcasts, give us a written review. It really does help. And you love giving reviews. Here's going to be our reviews of episode 1 and 2. Catfish, we're reviewing, because Disney Plus released both of these episodes at once, we're going to be reviewing both episodes together today. So let's dive right in right now. Episode 1, a.k.a. Part 1. What is your rating out of 10 for this chapter of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series?
I gave it 8, what I like to call triple J's.
Wait, Triple J?
Yeah, justice for Jar Jar. It feels like there was Jar Jar Eraser on the recap, which I thought was totally cool. Yeah, recap the prequels and can catch us up to speed on where we are.
Yep.
However,
Misa
think not enough Jar Jar.
He was in there. He was in the twice. I saw him twice in the recap.
Bubba, why couldn't they have told the story just using all Jar Jar scenes?
Of the prequels.
I want the Jar Jar cut of the prequels.
The recap. Okay, no. So 8 out of 10, that's pretty high.
Uh-huh.
Give us one line of your favorite reason why this episode got up to 8.
First of all, what was also interesting about the recap was it reminded me how much I did not like the prequels.
Oh, no.
And how they ruined the surprise of I Am Your Father for anybody, later viewers who might go, hey, you know what? I've never seen any of them. Why don't I watch them starting with the prequels? Why don't I watch them in order that they actually occur in the world? But you know what? I really enjoyed this.
Okay.
It was fascinating. It took it to some different places. You know, Bubba, I feel like there was definitely enough lack of sand here. I was like, finally, no sand. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a really good setup. I enjoyed spoiler alert, this episode better than the second episode. I thought it was a great introduction. What about you, Bubba?
Catfish, I am right there with you. Part 1, the first episode. Who dis? I'm only going to give it 8, what I like to call double L's out of 10.
Double L's?
Right. Well, you said it was loyal listeners.
I thought
some
so.
people may think that, but it's actually on this podcast, Little Leia's.
Little
8 out
Leia's.
of 10. Let me say.
Uh-huh.
Uncle Owen is my spirit animal.
Mm-hmm.
Catfish, I'm going to come on this podcast and I'm going to say, like the way you trained his father for anything you did.
Yeah, okay, great. Uh-huh.
I'm going to spoil it for everybody watching these prequels.
I love it.
Even if they haven't seen the prequels, if they watch this episode, they're going to see me. So Uncle Owen was great.
What a happy family to grow up in, huh? It really feels like...
I've had enough of this bed.
Right. It feels like probably Luke's better off with them gone if that was the kind of joy that was spread through that household.
You mean barbecued Baru
man.
Incinerated Owen? But I loved that part of it. I thought if you're going to do an Obi-Wan show, when all this time we thought he just stayed on Tatooine and watched Luke, the impetus to get him off of Tatooine, and admittedly this goes into episode 2 again, I thought was brilliant. There were some things that I wasn't a huge fan of that knocking down from an 8 down to, from a perfect 10 down to an 8, and that is people who have watched the animated shows have grown attached to these characters known as the Inquisitors. They never worked for me on the animated show, and I'm still not sure they work for me in this context. So that was really the part of the show that didn't work for me.
Maybe you're just jealous because, Bubba, every time you jump, you don't also do a forward flip when you jump. Whether it's required or not, forward must always have panache.
All right, but Ewan McGregor is great. Just for him alone, 8 out of 10.
And you know what? This is really tough. This is better for me, someone who forgets things but also is not as deep in the lore of Star Wars for you, because I think this show, it can be really tough because it's like you can't mess with the canon, but you also want to make it like you want to do some surprising new things and tell the story. So how do you do that? It feels like it's a tough tightrope to walk. And for me, who is not as, when you say like animated stuff, I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know any of that stuff. So it's all new to me. And also they can break that stuff. But this is really tough. And I thought they did a really good job here in the first episode.
All right, well, let's dive right into the first episode, past that prequel bit of notes. And it comes up. We see first and foremost, you say you don't like the prequels or didn't appreciate them.
Yeah.
This starts with a scene of Order 66, a different part of the temple, a different group of younglings, and their trainer is teaching them in the ways of the Force when in come some clone troopers. It is a massacre. It is an attack.
I was so excited, Bub. I thought, yes to the youngling slaughter. Let's do this, Disney. Take advantage of your rating system now and traumatize the young viewers, but they chickened out.
Well, the instructor got it. You saw chaos everywhere. You saw those infamous bridges where people getting slaughtered down below. But you're right. The younglings ran away. We did not see them get it. Personally, I know no spoilers, but I have a lot of predictions based on this.
Yes.
These Inquisitors, theoretically, we were told in episode 2 that they were Jedi who got twisted and turned. I wouldn't be surprised if the third sister, Reva, is not, in fact, one of those kids in that opening scene, I wonder.
Oh, give in to your anger and do a forward flip and some other cool stuff. Okay, so then the next thing we see is Obi-Wan.
10 years later.
Obi-Wan is working. It looks like he has learned to trade as a sushi chef. But it feels to me like Obi-Wan's a new job.
Oh, boy. That shouldn't be edited out at all.
No, you can't because it's going to keep coming back. All right. Now, here's the thing that I had a little bit of PTSD with Boba Fett, which I had a lot of issues with until it became The Mandalorian, was that here is another show where a formerly powerful character starts in the crapper and also is just not a great dude.
You mean Boba Fett on his show?
Yeah.
We saw a lot of him. He used to be the all-powerful bounty hunter who could seemingly defeat any enemy, and now we see him get beat. We saw Boba Fett getting beat up all the time, and now powerful Obi-Wan, one of the most powerful Jedi ever, is a sad sack working at the meatpacking factory.
Yeah. Not only that, we do know that he is going to have a very rough next few years. He's going to look like the Obi-Wan of the first movie, and he's got some rough years ahead.
Oh my goodness! Okay, so what is your opinion seeing Obi-Wan in this state? Maybe you start a hero in their darkest hour at the lowest state so they can be built back up.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know that. I'm aware of that. I mean, there hasn't been enough time since Boba Fett. You're giving me the same story. It's like, let's go to the Marvel Universe. And you know what? I've got a great idea. Let's make the Scarlet Witch bad again.
Okay, all right, okay. Stay on target.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so
Wait, no, say it better.
Stay on target.
Thank you.
The Inquisitors have come to Tatooine. Tatooine is a big planet. It has a couple of settlements. For whatever reason, they come to this settlement, and they're like, hey, we are looking for Jedi. And there are three of them catfish. Three of them exit the spaceship. They come out, and they are laying down the law. And they're saying such lines, and this was a line I found fascinating, kind of smart.
Okay.
But I also thought, if you don't explain the context, it makes no sense. And that is that Jedi hunt themselves. What do you think about that line?
Well, I mean, I think the idea behind it, and, I could just be making this up in my own head, was that because the Jedi are always trying to do good, and there's so few people in this world who are trying to do good so ostentatiously that they're easy to find.
Okay. I got it.
The third sister tries to prove her point by threatening people in town and having Obi-Wan show up because, of course, if he doesn't go, then he is he's chicken shit.
We find out they're in town because they've heard grumblings of, hey, there's a Jedi at this bar.
Right, but there's a schism between them that we find out
between
very
the
early.
Inquisitors, right.
Yeah,
There's the
exactly.
Grand Inquisitor, who's like the bald white boss. There's the fifth brother, who is the guy with the pot on his head. Sorry, there's the fifth brother, the guy with the bedpan on his head.
Right.
And then there's Reva, almost like our main Inquisitor, the one who is the angriest, the one who is most focused on finding Jedi and finding Kenobi.
Yeah.
They go into this bar.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, either Inquisit or not. I mean, to me, it's like they should all be like Reva. And also, if she's like, they're like, well, we're so tired of you chasing down Obi-Wan. When it's like, yeah, but aren't we killing Jedi along the way? I mean, we're doing our job. Don't give me a hard time for like trying to be A+.
So in the bar, though, they find a Jedi.
Holy cow.
They find a Jedi. A Jedi stops the knife in the air. And so then the Jedi realizes...
That's how they hunted... that guy hunted himself?
Right. He hunted himself. He gave himself away because he's too goody-goody. And so then in this little tavern, they're in the Tatooine town... There are three Inquisitors. This Jedi somehow gets away because the Inquisitors are quibbling with themselves. I could not take it. That was my, it's a very animated show type of issue about, let's fight amongst ourselves. And somehow, even though there are three of us here, the guy gets away.
No, I agree. I found this, even, again, not to jump forward, even more angry making because the same thing happens in episode 2.
Yep.
And also there's more. In episode 2, though, is even better because it's like, damn you for wasting our time and finding Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now you stand aside while I get all the credit.
How would you like to be the Jedi who got away and, like the Inquisitors, you hear them talking about you? This guy's like scraps. Yeah, they're hunting Jedi, but you're a Jedi, and even them are like, yeah, who cares about this? I mean, does this make you feel like a crummy Jedi?
I mean, come on.
I mean, they don't even care. They're like,
hurtful.
Whatever.
It's hurtful.
Now Obi-Wan, he's got his little Eopie there. That's this creature, his horse creature, as he's riding across the desert. And he kind of, he lives in a cave. This is some rough life. How do you shower in a cave? He probably hasn't showered in a decade. Oh, my God. No wonder the Sith stay away.
No, he force cleans himself.
Oh, he does.
Yes.
Not only that, he's getting ripped off by a Jawa trader Tika, my true hero of the episode.
Yeah, he's like, if you're going to sell my parts back to me, at least clean it first. And the Jawa's like, cleaning costs extra. I love it. Hashtag hero. Jawa's my hero.
Now, what's interesting is Tika, one of the things he says is he found a Jedi ship in the desert. Obi-Wan's like, wait a minute, I heard all the Jedi are dead. And so that would have to be this Jedi
Except for the scraps.
Right, except for the scraps. This would have to be the Jedi who was in the tavern earlier because Obi-Wan when we saw him, at least at the end of Revenge of the Sith, he didn't have a Jedi fighter or anything.
He's in the crapper,
right? So he's it's this Jedi is coming to find Obi-Wan, and in fact, he does find Obi-Wan. There's that scene at night. Obi-Wan's riding his Eopie through the desert, and it's like, oh, I'm being watched. I'm being stalked.
Who is it?
It's this other Jedi. They're like, hey, Obi-Wan, we need help. Where you been?
But Obi wants to be alone.
I will wait enough time for the audience to laugh. But since that hasn't happened, I'll also give them a moment of reflection of whether they just want to skip ahead a couple of minutes. So
let's do the rest of this podcast in silence.
Now, that Jedi is by the name of Nari. And he's like, Obi-Wan. My name is Ben. And Obi-Wan is a hater. He's like, the time of the Jedi is over. That's how far Obi-Wan has fallen. And he's dreaming of his history. At night, he dreams of Qui-Gon getting got. He's trying to reach out to him, But he's also riding. He's also being a peeping Tom, a peeping Obi-Wan, where he rides out and he watches Luke and he makes sure Luke okay. And he's building toys for Luke and leaving Luke toys right on the family doorstep. So
perv.
Stranger danger. So is Obi-Wan, he's carrying out his mission, his Jedi mission to watch over this boy. And yet at the same time, he's really anti-Jedi. So should he give up on the kid? What are your thoughts, Catfish? He's buried his lightsabers, we see later, out in the sand.
He's saying to Owen, the kid has to be trained when he comes of age. It feels to me like Obi-Wan is hiding behind his duty when he comes of age. So otherwise, I got nothing to do with my life until then. My life isn't worthwhile. He's kind of hiding behind the fact that I got to wait to do this, to do nothing.
Right. What could he be doing in addition to the meatpacking factory and the watching Luke? Maybe recording a podcast, something really worthwhile.
He could be doing that. He could be doing that. He could learn knitting.
Right. He needs
a hobby. The guy needs a hobby, right?
Right. He doesn't even care that the sushi chef the shoe chef you say he's working for isn't, underpaid one guy. And that guy, the sushi chef, was a crook. And he's like, say something, Obi-Wan, say something. And Obi-Wan is such a wimp. He doesn't say nothing.
No.
Ouch.
No, he doesn't say anything. But
what?
He does. But again, when we get back to Owen, because that's really what's next.
Owen is so
he
good.
Says, because Owen says to him.
Obi-Wan says,
when the time comes, Luke has to be trained. And Owen comes back, delicious line. He says, like you trained his father.
Oh.
It feels like to me that Obi wants Owen to chill.
Relax, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. So let's role play here for a bit.
Oh, okay. Great.
I'll be Obi-Wan.
I'm sorry. I don't have to put it on my. I don't have to put on any leather. Okay, I'll just
a different role play.
Okay,
podcast role play.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All right. So I'll be Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And you be Uncle Owen. You're returning the toy. I made this toy for Anakin.
Damn it! I told you the pieces are too small. He likes to swallow all his toys still. He's an idiot.
Listen, he must be trained.
But trained? I'm still trying to train him how to use the bathroom. He's 9 years old, for God's sakes. He can't use any of your training. You're going to put us all in danger.
You mean like you trained your father, Kleeglars, and how to use her bathroom?
Damn it. Was that how you imagined it, Bubba?
No, let's try it again. Okay, you be Obi-Wan, I'll be...
Okay. Owen.
Yeah?
Why did you return this?
I want you to stay away from us.
I spent hours on this. All I do is make sushi and toys.
You mean like you made those toys for the younglings who were killed?
Well, not all of them were killed. Some of them got away and are maybe chasing me down. But, Owen, listen. Yeah. Luke, he's going to save the world. He's going to save the universe. I have to train him.
You mean like you trained his father?
Oh,
the guy who killed everybody and is now dead? His dead father? Are you going to train him like him?
No, it's nighttime, but you still burned me.
Burned you? Like you burned his father when you sliced off his legs and dropped him in the lava planet?
Listen.
Yeah?
We're very sensitive to burning around here. I hope never to be burned.
Sensitive? Sensitive like his mother, who died from a broken heart?
I got to be honest.
Yeah?
I forgot what was role-playing.
Role-playing? You mean like Baru and I do at night in the privacy of our own home?
Oh, got it. I remember that. And scene.
Oh, man.
Bubba, I don't know which one of those is better. Let's just put a positive spin on it and say I don't know which one was better. But listeners, you decide. When you comment on this podcast.
You mean listeners?
Tell us.
You mean like the listeners who downloaded our podcast?
Listeners,
On Why the Last Monkey?
you tell us. Which one was better? The one where I knew who I was role-playing or the one where I forgot in the middle that I was role-playing? Which was better?
Okay. All right. So, hey,
Yep. Tell
Obi-Wan
me.
just keeps getting dissed.
Yep.
And so I don't remember, but do you remember how do we suddenly transition to this different planet, this different system, if you will, Alderaan? We suddenly cut away, and there's this little princess getting dressed by all these handmaidens and getting dressed in colors that, at least to me, suggest some things that her mother Padme would have been wearing. But then, as somebody online pointed out, this is a classic Disney princess trope.
Oh, boy.
You know, you're going to have to put on your dress and go to the fancy thing.
Right.
No,
Stop wanting to have legs and live on the land.
Listen, Leia's going to go have fun, just like her mom used to have decoys dress up as her. Leia has somebody dress up as her, so she can run out in the forest and talk to her friendly droid, Lola. And so, what do you think of our young Carrie Fisher stand-in, this actress playing young Leia in this first episode of Catfish? You know, she'll get sweet melons if she behaves.
In this first episode, I found her just barely tolerable.
Oh, you don't like kid actors? Or what specifically about her was tough?
Okay, I mean, here's probably part of the problem is that you said it. They're playing with a trope a little bit, but I'm just like the bratty rich kid who never listens to her parents, and they aren't like, listen, we're gonna lock your ass up until you stop being a little son of a gun. They're like, oh, isn't this cute? She's spirited. Yeah, spirited, all right. She talks like a 30-year-old.
Yep.
Writer in the writer room. That's what she talks like.
Oh, my
She's
goodness.
like she talks like a 30-year-old Han Solo. She's got
Oh,
the
my
witty
goodness.
repartee. It's enough to make me wish that she was a youngling and not the one of the ones that made it.
Hey, now that's tough. They're trying to, make her precocious. Once again, she's out in the woods. She's spotting the ships that are flying and pointing them out. Her mom is like, I've had enough of this. Somebody's coming. Your family is coming. They're having relatives over. You got to behave. And hey, I went 8 out of 10. Every little fun Easter egg I love. So
Tell me.
C-3PO and R2-D2 being at the family gathering, I loved it.
Okay.
Who wasn't great was her cousin.
Oh,
who just like she's a bit of a trope of the precocious kid, the trope of the annoying relative, the terrible cousin, the terrible nephew.
Here's the other
worst.
thing. Yeah, he was terrible. It was awesome that she gave him a big diss, but also the way she did it, definitely a 40-year-old who's been around for a while.
You mean she's got a ghostwriter for her cut downs?
Oh, my God. Now, listen. And then her parents again are like, oh, it's so adorable that you are such a pain in the butt. But, again, I had forgotten because I really disliked the prequels. I had forgotten that we had seen this actor before, the actor playing her father. And I was like, Bubba, I was so upset. I'm like, why do even American actors have to have vaguely British accents in this world?
Well, okay, hold on. You know why?
Tell me why.
Because Carrie Fisher, the original, the OG, she knew she was a princess. She's filming in London. And so she, at times, in her original performance, would slip in A New Hope, the first movie, I should point out, she would slip into a British accent.
All right.
And so everybody has to put it on, including Jimmy Smits as her father.
Okay, now listen.
Bail Organa. What do you think of Jimmy Smits? Do you like him as an actor? What do you think of him
I
in
like
this?
him as an actor. I feel like he's got a natural charm and personality to him that is inhibited by this British accent. I found him. I didn't find him as likable here, especially when he gives this advice. He says to Leia when she's talking about like her cousin smack talking and she smacked him down. He said you have to rise above. I want to remind people in America, we tried that and it does not work.
The
rising above doesn't work.
Kill the British. Anyway, once again, we're setting her up, but we also are setting up that someone's been watching Leia, someone evil, someone from under the bridge. It's the actor / bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea.
Yeah.
Playing a character known as Vect. And they are completely evil. And when Princess Leia is insulted her cousin, and they're telling her dad's telling her, look, you got to apologize. How about this? Who's right in this situation? Is Dad right? Go apologize to your cousin. Or is Princess Leia right? That guy's a douche. I'm running.
Okay. Well, you said two things in that last part. She was right to not apologize,
but her dad asked her to.
But she wasn't. But she wasn't right to run away again, causing all this trouble in the first place. Thanks a lot, bratty Leia.
Hey, now
I said it.
But there is a little chase sequence, and we always talk about this show being shot on the volume. This is shot on location. She's running away from Flea, as one does in real life, so the girl didn't have to act too much.
No, did you think that this was supposed to be part of a Keystone Cop, where it's like that dude's like 1 foot from her, and then he could reach her and he can't reach her?
Well, she has a great move.
She does have a great move, but there were times that they were so
describe
close
her
enough.
great move.
Her great move is, I'm going to duck under this branch that they can't duck under.
Right, that's thigh high.
She always goes
I
into
can
small
duck under
things.
it. You can't
And these
jump.
guys are like, wait a second, a branch? No, I can't even push through that. That thing will maybe give me a tiny scratch on my arm.
But she gets kidnapped.
Good.
Hey, now, and then, of course, what's going to happen is that Bail Organa has to reach out to Obi-Wan. They need your help. Now, is this... Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
I really felt like it was really nice. But I feel like that... and he makes it very clear that Obi doesn't want to save Leia.
You know what, folks? We've got 1 million of these, and we apologize for each and every one. And so... Yeah, Obi-Wan says, "Hey, find somebody else. I've got my task. Watch the boy,
which he's doing sort of.
Find someone else. She'll be better off. I'm not the man I was." What do you think that? That's kind of this is hateful.
I'm not the man I used to be.
But of course, something has to convince him, and what convinces him is that he didn't help this Jedi who came in,
and what
this
happens?
Jedi Nari who came to ask him for help. Obi-Wan goes into town, and what does he see? Nari hung up by his whole body.
Yeah. This is a Disney hanging. It means you get underarm support.
Listen, he's dead though, and so by doing nothing,
I don't know how.
By doing nothing, Nari is no Mari. You like that? See how you feel when you're on the end of it?
No, one moment I need.
The next thing we see after Nari is dead is that, okay, I got to go out to the desert and dig up my old lightsabers. That's exactly what Rey buried him at the end of Rise of Skywalker, a different pair. Now Obi-Wan's got to pull up his lightsabers. He found them. This is the middle of the open desert. How could he find it?
The Force?
Geocaching.
Oh, geocaching.
No, probably the Force. That's right. And so
okay.
So he's gonna go.
It would have been cooler if it was geocaching.
So he's gonna go rescue her, and yet we know Jedi, they can't be in public, and yet he's wearing it right on his belt. And when he pays his ticket to get the space bus,
he flashes it.
Right. When he gets his ticket and pays his fare, is what it really looks like, to get on this freighter so he can go to this place where they've tracked the ship to. You could see his lightsaber. He's doing a terrible job of hiding.
No, he's almost flashing it. It's like when my dog takes something in his mouth that he does not supposed to have and he brings it to me. He's like, how about this?
Man, that is brutal. So, okay, that's episode 1. Are any other points you wanted to talk about episode 1?
That's
you went
it.
8 out of 10.
That's the whole thing. That is the whole thing I have to say about episode 1.
Listeners, we want to know what you think.
What do you think?
Reach out to us on social media at DoublePHQ. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think. We want to know, are you excited? A prequel lover, a prequel apologist, a prequel hater who is coming along for the ride because of Ewan McGregor, and somebody we're going to see here at the end of episode 2, Hayden Christensen as the eyes and bald cap of Darth Vader.
People, we want to know what you think.
It is time for our Double M.
Double M.
Musical maestro, Matt Murdick.
Whoa, man.
Hello there. Matt here, and that's probably the worst impression of Obi-Wan Kenobi that you've ever heard, let alone being it the worst one in this podcast. But I'm not an expert at impressions. I am an expert at music, and that's what we're here to talk about, because we've got 2 new episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've got 2 composers, one of my absolute favorite film composers, John Williams, of course, who did the main theme for this series, and Natalie Holt, who is relatively unknown except for her work with Loki. I mean, people in the industry have known her. Her work is quality. But she does most of the stuff that you hear in the episode itself. And in both instances, we have some fantastic music to talk about over the course of this series, without doubt. And I'm going to start simply because the man deserves his props, you know what I mean? The new theme by John Williams, who has been on record as saying he just wanted to write a theme for Benny. And he probably threw a couple of babies in there as well. But oh my gosh, the first time that I got to hear this theme was actually on YouTube, where John Williams himself conducted an orchestra at Star Wars Celebration on Thursday. And I was floored by the theme. Within this theme by Mr. Williams, there are 2 main motifs. And what I mean by motifs are snippets of music that are formed together to create melodies or themes or that kind of thing. One motive, which comes together to really create the main melody, describes the man, Obi-Wan Kenobi, while the other motive describes the mission and the peril of the man's mission. Now, as you know, I like to break things down. I like to look at them in terms of the shape of the melody, how high or low it goes, where it starts and where it ends. I also like to look at the rhythm that is implied and how that might excite us or calm us. I also like to look at the timbres, meaning the instruments that are being played. And finally, the harmony, meaning the notes that support the melody or whatever else is going on that gives us emotional context because of the way that our brains perceive the way certain sounds fit together. But with this 2-motive theme, let's just begin with the melodic shape itself. It's a beautiful theme. It's very simple, and it's predicated on just a couple of rhythmic motifs that repeat, and the shape will tell us a little bit about the man who Obi-Wan is as we listen to the melody. It really is a stunning melody. I love the way it stays grounded, just as Obi-Wan has always stayed grounded, meaning that where that melody starts, it keeps returning to. That's the base. That's where Obi-Wan's code is derived. And the fact that it reaches up and sometimes falls back down tells us that he's always striving to do more. And as you can see, a big part of Obi-Wan's struggle is going to be the ability to resist those urges to do more. Because you can't help Luke if you ain't around to. A beautiful shape. Has just enough super high points to give you that shred of hope that we always have for our Jedi. But also gravitates back down to a good base where we also expect our Jedi to be grounded. To not be insane. So there's your shape. One thing that's also interesting is the fact that this melody gets traded around a lot in the rendition I heard between different kinds of instruments. The strings, when they play this melody, give it a sense of sweetness. Yet when it's passed on to the brass, we get a sense of nobility that stands for something. that emphasizes the importance of this man and his mission, which I will get to that part too, even though I'm running really long already. So let me quickly jump to the rhythm. You'll notice that there's this same kind of rhythm in the melody itself that repeats this part. Because just like in the first phrase, it happens again in the second. The slow and the calm of this man is represented by the long notes. But he is human, and that's why we have those sometimes little quick rhythms in there. Also, this is in 6/8 or 3/4. I don't care how you count it. I don't care if you count it at all. All I know is that typically these types of time signatures represent what we call circular time. And what circular time does is it feels like a circle. It feels complete, even though technically it's not totally symmetrical. And one of the things I never really understood was why John Williams didn't use 3/4 time more in the Star Wars sagas. But that was his choice, and I love that he's chosen to give this kind of completeness to Ben Kenobi here. Moving on to the harmony, which, when you're watching a show, this is what gives you the emotional context. Usually a melodic shape, if you're normal, unlike me, is not going to affect you emotionally. But the harmony that goes underneath it will. So one thing that I'd like to point out is that even though the melody usually has minor notes in it, and by minor, that's a particular kind of key that tends to feel darker, as opposed to major, which feels happier. But many times in this particular theme, John Williams kind of goes back and forth in the harmonies. For instance, in the very first part of the very first phrase, he's using a chord that would only be represented in minor harmony, yet he resolves it to major harmony, like this. I love that, because while Obi-Wan's mission is a little dark, he's isolated. He has to protect this child from evil. Adding the second major chord gives a nobility to the cause and to the man for doing this. And just to make sure that you get that, Williams uses the exact same harmony in the second phrase. So there is the man with his noble cause. But there will be troubles along the way. And how he responds to those troubles is what the harmony and the melody implies in the second part of this melody. Notice that as the harmony starts to get lower, the melody actually raises higher. This is Obi-Wan, the man, counterbalancing the darkness that is pulling the galaxy down. Strange little chord in there. It's what we call a tonicizing chord. Actually, it's tonicizing the dominant. You knew I was going to have to throw some technical jargon in there somewhere. Never mind. You don't need to know it. It's just that little part that feels a little weird towards the end, like this. And that's where the melodic shape and the harmony combine to represent the struggle within Obi-Wan. Because there is trouble. He is trying to keep from being pulled down into this darkness that is the Empire. And he does a pretty good job fighting it off by holding that last note well above where he started. As the harmony shifts to a place that doesn't really feel all that resolved. Time will tell. And we know the story of what that is, of course. So that's Obi-Wan the man. But what about the mission? And I had really hoped that I could talk faster and could get all of this stuff in and talk about Natalie too. That's going to have to wait until the next episode of Parsec Passion. I'm just going to wrap up real quickly with these two little figures that are essentially the same motive. And what they represent is the mission. One specifically represents the forces against the mission, and the other way it's presented is the mission itself. I'm going to address them in the order that we hear them in the composition that was played at Star Wars Celebration. But it's important to note that they are the same motive because they use the same rhythm. That same rhythm is just applied to different notes. That's why I call them the same motive, and that's why I also can say, oh, well, this one is related to fighting against the mission, and this one is related to trying to perform the mission. And the mission, of course, is keep Luke safe, teach him the ways of the Force, and hopefully someday he'll be able to take down the Empire. The first time we hear the mission motive is actually the one that is struggling against it. It sounds like this. Why do I say that it is the rendition of that motive that is fighting against the mission? Mainly because of its shape. It's always descending. It never goes back up at any point in the course of it. It represents the fall of the mission, the failure of the mission. To me, it represents the Empire's fight against the mission, even if they don't know what that mission is. Take that same rhythm, that dot, 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 and you apply it to these chords that feel like there's a rising urgency underneath them, and you get what I believe represents the mission itself. This. So, that is John Williams' brilliant Obi-Wan Kenobi theme, the way that I am interpreting it currently. As the series progresses, we'll see what that actually means. And we will also, I promise, talk about the real star of the composing reigns, Natalie Holt. I can't wait to talk about her stuff. Back to Bubba and Catfish.
So, on to part 2, Catfish.
The first taste is free.
What is going to be your rating out of 10 for part 2?
I'm going to give this 6 what I like to call double Ps.
Wait, double Ps?
Yeah, petulant princesses.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
Man.
She's even more like an old-time comic with her snappy repartee with Obi-Wan. It's really, I chose to be childless in this life. And part of the reason I did was because of children like this.
Hey, now. Because, once again, she is a cliche. They want her to be snappy.
Fine, then write her like a kid.
Sassy,
don't write her
sassy.
don't write her like a 40-year-old man.
Well, how about, a kid who's been kidnapped. So 6 out of 10. Is that the only reason? Or this is a pretty harsh grade.
That's it. That's it. She irritated the heck out of me. I loved Kumail Nanjiani. I'm just going to say his name wrong. Nanjiani?
Yep.
I loved him in it. He was great. The turn with him where it's like he's a huckster and then like he's really going to help out is totally cool. Can we just silence the child?
We cannot silence the child. So, okay.
Bubba, since you are a bottom feeder, a rat who preys on weakness,
oh man,
what's your rating for this episode? The first taste is free.
I'm also, for part 2, going to go to 6 out of 10.
Ooh.
6 double Bs out of 10.
Double Bs?
Yeah. That's Breaking Ben.
Wait, Breaking Ben, like Breaking Bad?
Yes, when Ben Kenobi goes into the meth lab, I'm like, hell yeah, let's get it on. Where's Gus Fring, a.k.a.?
I love it. Is there a fly in there?
Oh, my goodness. So, for me, it wasn't just that this character of young Leia is so much of a cliche. We've got to have her sassy and talking back, and therefore getting into trouble because she's sassy and talking back. Like, it frustrated me, that cliche. What also frustrated me is the Inquisitors fighting amongst themselves. You were on a densely populated planet, and you've got a Jedi there, right? The number one Jedi you want to hunt. And yet you're squabbling amongst yourselves. You're like, okay, any ship that leaves the system, don't allow it. That's easy when you're an all-powerful empire to make sure no spaceship leaves this planet, right?
Agree.
And yet they were just inept. I could not take it. And so I went 6 out of 10. There are good moments in part 2, but and great Easter eggs in here as well. Like I said, I think it's a great story idea of what would get Obi-Wan off Tatooine into a new adventure. well, something happening to Leia. That is a brilliant idea. That is a brilliant, kind of conceit to get him off.
You're my only hope.
Right, a brilliant conceit to get him off into adventure. But there's just some rough stuff in this.
Now, did you enjoy the Force-aided parkour of the third sister?
No, and they had done that so much in the Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
They had that so much. And at times, people used to blame old Robert Rodriguez. They'd say, oh, he always loved people spinning in his shots. He had done it in his mariachi series of films. He had done it in this.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they love Reva. Oh, my God. If she's supposed to be all-powerful, she should have been able to catch Obi-Wan in a flash.
Well, you're right. I mean, I mentioned at the top, it's just so frustrating. I don't understand the argument. It made sense. It made some sense at first for them to say, okay, listen, stop focusing on Obi-Wan. We're going to do now is the scraps, even though we got better stuff to do. But once there's actual news of Obi-Wan, say, some begrudging respect. They're already sexist. I mean, apparently the fifth brother can sass the fourth sister. What the heck if there's no hierarchy, why are we giving numbers to people? Shouldn't fourth be able to smack talk to fifth? What's going on here? It's sexism.
Fifth is one better.
Well, damn it, why was third brother talking smack? This is too much, and the Grand Inquisitor doesn't feel grand. Although I thought it was a fascinating combination of Death from the Bill and Ted sequel and Emperor Palpatine. It was a nice combo.
The Grand Inquisitor.
It was a nice callback. Shall we play a game? How about Monopoly?
All right, so let's get to it. Obi-Wan's little shuttle is landing on this planet. Let's talk about this, and we should do it more in a show about Star Wars where design is such a big part of it. What did you think of this location in the Star Wars universe? Almost a Hong Kong, if you will.
It's funny because I had seen one review of the show on a website I go to, and they really didn't like it, and they were disdainful of this. But so maybe it's just me being so thirsty to see anything other than desert or people on mod bikes. But I dug it.
I dug it.
Give me something different.
Now, the one thing about it, though, is that I think the volume, because this is shot in the volume, this planet, is that in some ways you're seeing the limitations of it. So in Mando, because the volume is smaller than a regular film set even, because it has to be surrounded by these LED panels projecting the image in it, a lot of the fighting almost has to be hand-to-hand combat, where Obi-Wan, all his best fights in the prequels, they go from this room to that room, and it's fighting with a sword as opposed to, here, I'm going to beat you up like I'm Mando. But even Mando has weapons. Obi-Wan is just like, I'm going to punch you with my fist, sucker. And so I thought that was kind of limiting to them in the type of fights they were doing.
All right. Yeah, I feel like that's a good point. And I'm going to give that, so that's one for you.
Wonderful. So let's talk about one thing I loved. I loved that they had Tamora Morrison playing a out-of-work clone trooper begging for money on the street and a warm meal. Oh, so good. And so how about this? Obi-Wan, we saw him in the prequels chasing a suspect when he was Detective Obi-Wan. He goes into a bar. A guy, you want to buy some death sticks? And Obi-Wan, uses mind, the Jedi mind trick to tell him, no, you want to go home and rethink your life. Here, everywhere Obi-Wan goes, people offer him drugs, man. This girl comes up to him and offers him some spice, like you were saying. The first taste is free. She puts it in his pocket, man.
Hey, listen, Obi-Wan, go with the flow. This might explain why you look so different 15 years later. He was hitting the spice so hard.
Turns your hair white.
In fact, let's make him worse, and then he finally gets his stuff together like 2 years before and get some new teeth because his teeth are all gone.
Okay, so
Disney's got to have an even more mature rating for Obi-Wan.
So Obi-Wan doesn't take the bait to get into spice, but there's another kid who says, oh, I can help you, who points him to a new character called Haja, played by Kamali Nanjiani, like you said, and this was crazy. It took me longer, meaning maybe a full 20 seconds as opposed to 10 seconds to realize he was a fake Jedi, a scam artist. But I love this as in an idea. If you lived in this world, there probably would be a lot of fake Jedi.
I love it too, and actually it's kind of an interesting twist because it wasn't until the end kind of that I realized that he was doing it with a buddy who actually was going to get the family through,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he's
because
still
you're thinking
gonna help
like
him. He's still gonna help
you're
him.
like, I take all the money and then you get nabbed. No, he's just got a buddy. He's going to split the money. I don't know why he has to pretend to be that. Why can't he just say, "I'll get you through"? But apparently, the Jedi still have a good rep. We don't know that the best of them are hiding in caves and not bathing and being suckered by Jawas.
Okay, so this planet, Dayu, is fun. Listeners, let us know what you think of the design. Let us know what you thought of everything that was going on. And so Obi-Wan ends up there with this scam artist, and somehow the scam artist knows where to send Obi-Wan. This is a huge planet. Unlike Tatooine, there are millions of people you would assume on this planet.
Well, Obi-Wan is clearly easy to find. He got found. The guy's like, "You got to find Leia." He's like, "Here I am. I found you, Obi-Wan."
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, easy to find. Probably because of the smell, as you said.
But also because Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers wants him, is trying to catch Obi-Wan. So they've let it known, hey, if anybody comes looking for a girl, this is us. And Flea,
It's a trap!
Right, and so Vecht has
Pretty good.
Vecht has led Obi-Wan into a trap. Obi-Wan is, what's so funny is Obi-Wan...
It's a trap!
Obi-Wan comes to an alleyway, and he's looking out on the alleyway. Where to go? Oh, there's an open door. Let's go. There's a door. Let's go there. And so he's in this meth lab. Is this the craziest? A spice lab in a Star Wars show. Love it. And he goes into the back room. He sees where the back room
quick
is.
question, Bubba.
Yeah.
Will they,
In
the Star Wars store at Disney, sell like that rock sugar candy as spice to the kids?
There is no way. I would love it if they did, but there is no way.
I'll tell you something else. The other thing that Disney isn't going to do.
What?
Give the first taste for free.
No,
No freebies!
Oh, wait, hold on. I'll tell a complete side tangent. So, on my last trip to Disney, I was with a whole bunch of my family members and some nephews. They had been promised, we want to go to Blizzard Beach. We want to go to Blizzard Beach, which is a water park there.
Okay, good.
And so because Disney schedules sometimes have to be so regimented, it was like, we're going on this day. And I looked at the forecast. I'm like, that day is barely going to be 72 degrees.
Well, they don't mean blizzard for nothing.
Right. I was like, why not go to the previous day where the sun was going to boost up and the weather was going to be about 80? And they're like, we can't. So we went to this water park. It turns out they only open it if it's at least 70 degrees minimum at like 10 a.m. And if it's not, they close it.
No.
So it was completely empty in this Blizzard Beach. I mean, completely. There were some foreign kids who didn't mind the cold, I guess, somehow, who were at the Blizzard Beach. But like literally, to get down any slide, you could just walk up. There was nobody. And because there was nobody, some of the food vendors, they were giving us free tastes, and we thought, they were trying to give us free tastes so we would buy it and stuff. They go, here you go. And we go like, these honey roasted almonds are so good. Here you go. Oh, these are so good. They're trying to get us to buy them. And then finally they like brought us out a big bucket and they go, we're going to have to throw them out because they're so old at a certain point.
Holy cow.
So Disney did give us a first taste and a second taste and a whole bucket for free.
Don't mention the day you went because those people will get fired.
It was so cold there. All right. So anyway, Obi-Wan is going. How come? I guess he doesn't really have a good command of the Force because he goes into a place which doesn't even have a human being inside it. It's a droid dressed up to look like a little girl. And as soon as he goes in, Vecht and his goons come in and start the beat down on Obi-Wan, Catfish.
Yes.
And did you like this little droid? I like this little droid. It was making the sound, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
And so, anyway, this is Obi-Wan pretty much being a badass, being a Stallone movie. I'm just going to punch everybody out. Until finally, he did have a mask on. He thought, okay, I can't beat my way out of this. So I'm going to spice attack them. I've got the mask on. I won't go crazy. The rest of them, they'll go nuts. Is that a good... Do you do that at the meth house? Do you do that with your cocaine? You just throw it on the floor so it goes up everybody's nose so you can escape.
I definitely do that with the people who've used it already because it doesn't affect them like that because they're already used to it.
And he finds Leia. He finds Leia very easily.
Boom.
How come if you're Vecht, you don't keep Leia completely far away from the place you're trying to...
And you know what I like about it?
What do you like about it?
She doesn't believe that he's on her side, and he doesn't explain anything about...
No.
He doesn't bother to say, like, I know your father. Your father's the one who sent me here.
Your father, Bail Organa of Alderaan,
he doesn't.
and your mother this.
He doesn't
and
bother saying anything that he knows about that might get her on his side. Because that's a waste of time, basically.
Here was another crazy thing. He has got this drug mask, and I wrote in my notes, put the mask on Leia to hide her identity. You're going through town. It soon gets out, hey, we're looking for a man and a girl. And she is just dissing and being a true judge. She didn't get raised by Bail Organa. She got raised by Uncle Owen.
She's like, do a magic trick, jerk.
Right. Obi-Wan's like, just tell anyone I'm your father. Grandfather, maybe. Okay, Boomer.
Boom. That would have been the best if she said, okay, Boomer.
She's got to be a precaution.
She's like, what are you going to do next? Make me a mixtape? He said, all the power of the world can't match the stench beneath.
Oh, man, ouch, cold.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the cute toy they've got to sell. And we saw this toy for sale at Star Wars Celebration, this little floating droid named Lola, who is, I guess, Leia's fun droid. Leia has all these droids. And this droid catfish, ILM kind of designed it based on a film that ILM did some work on in the 80s. Did you see a rather, to be honest, milquetoast and not very good movie entitled Batteries Not Included?
Yes, I did.
And this little Lola droid is kind of a homage to the droids, which were actually kind of like aliens, right, in that movie.
Well, and you know what, Bubba, you got to see it. Now, it was very loud at the convention, but you got to see that the robot reacts when you talk to it.
Yeah.
It makes
this
noises,
little Lola
and it like
toy,
flips its little panels out and stuff.
It was
and,
cool.
Yeah. And says, just stop being a little brat. But I don't know why it did that. Why would it do that, Bubba?
Because it wants your money. Your hard-earned Republic credits.
Oh, okay, great.
Now, okay, so at a certain point, Leia, precocious child Leia,
that's
suddenly
one word for her.
Sees, the word goes out. Let me tell you something. When you put something out in the HoloNet, everybody sees it. So they put out Obi-Wan's picture, like, hey, we're looking for this guy. This guy's evil. And she knows Obi-Wan wasn't the immediate people who kidnapped her. Her eyes were open. She saw Vec. But suddenly, because she sees Obi-Wan on the HoloNet, she's like, my dad didn't send you. You're the bad guy. And she runs away. This is such a terrible trope.
Bubba,
a kid running deeper into danger.
Our listeners cannot see me with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
I was shaking my head for like the last 20 seconds as you're describing all that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to quietly shake my head again until I feel like speaking.
So somehow, Obi-Wan can't keep up with this little girl who gets up to a roof.
More vigorous
and
shaking.
He's chasing after her while at the same time he's being chased. Now, that is a great setup for a chase, but this, I think, is another kind of fault of the volume. Once again, it's really limited space. This chase is supposed to be over rooftops and this and kind of go far, right? But because the volume is so tough, like literally you have to make one rooftop.
It's bit by bit,
then
bit by
pull
bit.
that rooftop out, put a different rooftop in to really make this kind of work. To me, it wasn't as thrilling. It wasn't as thrilling as it should have been,
but
even though people are shooting at Obi-Wan.
But you know how you cover the cuts? By having Reva do a forward flip every time she does a jump.
Oh my God! Yes.
Show off.
Or have awesome alligator head alien chasing Obi-Wan. I love that. I love the Forlom-esque droid that wasn't Forlom, but a droid like Forlom chasing Obi-Wan and shooting at him. So I like that.
Okay,
and
good.
I love that they shot the alligator bounty hunter got shot and fell off the edge of his of the building. You just barely, it was kind of a super wide shot, and he was off in the distance on the left-hand side of the screen. When Obi-Wan shot him, he fell over the side. Oh, I love
Bubba, it was about that time, or maybe what felt like 30 minutes earlier, that I called to you that Obi-Wan is going to do exactly what Leia wanted to do, and that is she's going to fall off a building,
you knew
and
it.
he's going to float her.
Yes, he used the Force. He wasn't great with the Force. Obi-Wan, you would have assumed, Obi-Wan in his prime could have stopped this little girl in a heartbeat from falling. But this...
If only he was a little less in his prime.
Man, ouch. Ouch. So he saves her.
Yes.
She realizes, wait a minute, he must be a Jedi. He must be a good guy. But by that, who did they run into? They run into, this is what's crazy, is that...
It's a very small town, Bubba.
It is a small town, so they go back to the equivalent of the bus station, a.k.a. the spaceship port. But they see, the forces are there. They're like, we're not going to let him get away. We're going to stop all ships. And he is right across the alleyway. He can see them. If they look in his direction, they should be able to see him. But
well, they can't because what they had to do is reset the volume. So they're actually not in the same space at the same time.
Okay. So anyway, long story short, who shows up again? Haja shows up. And like you said, it turns out he may be a grifter. He may be somebody who just loves credits, but he is a good guy at heart. He's the ripoff. He's the con artist with a heart of gold. And so he's like, hey, they're going to stop passenger ships, but for whatever reason they won't stop transport ships. So just go up in this transport ship.
And I'm gonna. But eventually, he says, I mean, he's got to know that they're dangerous people. He essentially says he's going to sacrifice himself, which is awesome, but also very sad for me because when this actor shows up at any time, I just can't help but smiling. He is besides being funny, he's just a very warming presence. So I'm like, please, more of him. Can we kick Leia off her own show?
But Reva, this evil Inquisitor, who's seemingly the only good Inquisitor so far based on this show. The other two are incompetent, if you ask me. But anyway, she mind reads Hezha's mind and realizes, okay, he sent him to this transport ship. I will chase down Obi-Wan and I'll find him there. And she's got Obi-Wan trapped. Yet it's a trap. She is afraid to attack him. He sends Leia. He says, Leia, take this, go get on the ship, get out of here. Your safety is most important. And then he's trapped in this.
She agrees.
Right, Leia's like, that's the smartest thing you've said all episode. Obi-Wan. So anyway, she runs and she hops on the ship, right? And so now we have Reva and Obi-Wan ready for a battle, ready for a duel. But who comes in? Her boss. Don't you hate it when you're about to get some work done and the boss comes in and wants to chat?
The boss is like, where is that report? I have to submit it at a meeting and take all the credit for it.
Oh, the Grand Inquisitor is the grand loser, a grand waste of time. He comes in and he's like, wait a minute. You know, this storage unit contains actual people's property, and you're just throwing it around like it's nothing. Do you know the paperwork I'm going to have to fill out because of this, Reva? And she's like, I found Obi-Wan. He's but yeah, look, listen.
All right, no, understood. We got it from here.
Right. And so it turns out, if we believe this, she's like, oh, you're trying to take credit for all the work I did. And then once again, if it was her plot to kidnap Leia to get Obi-Wan out, that's a brilliant plot. But because of the way this story is told, she doesn't get credit for coming up with a brilliant scheme.
However, and maybe I misheard this, but didn't she sort of indicate she had her own side deal with Darth Vader? Right. And Darth had kind of tasked her. Now listen. Yeah. Is because Darth is still coming up and kind of in his own his bubble tank. I won't call it a bantha tank, but he's in a bubble tank. Right. He's not powerful enough right now to say, listen, Grand Inquisitor, you are now, your new name is Fourth Sister, and Reva, your name is now Grand Inquisitor. Why does Darth have to do a side deal with somebody lower on the totem pole?
Hold on.
Talk to me.
To give everybody a bit of credit.
Okay.
In the Empire Strikes Back, they did this smarter. They sent out probe droids. These droids could work 24/7, never get tired. They can go to every planet. They can spend, days going around the planet, filming everything, yada, yada, yada. Makes a lot of sense. If you're Vader, you don't want to go to planet hopping. And so, theoretically, Reva does have a main job. You have one job, and this little side job for me, Vader. But you have one job, hunt down these peon Jedi, these Jedi that nobody care about, and take them out.
But why isn't the most important job? I mean, they do say we've been looking for him for 10 years and give up on that. Well, okay, if you're going to give up on looking for the big guy, why are you bothering to find the scraps? It really feels like make work rather than the important stuff. And if it's make work, why is El Jefe around for the make work? Right? Like send fifth brother and fourth sister and have fifth brother say he can boss around fourth sister, and then you do whatever, like just do the Grand Inquisitor paperwork and go on your 2-week vacation.
What if your title is 63rd brother?
63rd brother.
And you're like really down the totem pole and you'll be like, I'm just here flipping these burgers.
What if your name is Prosaic Inquisitor?
Okay, guys.
Yeah, all
right. So anyway, this was a big shock for people because Reva says, you ain't taking my credit, and she stabs the Grand Inquisitor through the gut, Catfish. This shocked people because if he's the same Grand Inquisitor from the animated show, that character lives on much longer than this. So, what do you think's going on? Why do you think she can just kill this person?
It seems to me it's part of her whatever side deal with Darth Vader, which I don't understand why is a side deal.
We had a deal.
Again, if you're really hunting people down, but you're considering them
What do you mean
scraps, but you're considering them scraps,
Yeah.
why are you out there unless you're going after the big game?
That is a great question. Let me say that we don't know much about the anatomy of this species. I suppose there isn't a species that could get stabbed through the gut with a lightsaber and live. You know, you don't think bodies just have pointless, non-important areas.
Well, what if, like, King, Grand Inquisitor is, a title, right? I mean, it's a job title,
Well,
right?
then it's going to have to be, at a certain point, go to somebody who looks exactly like him in his species. So.
No, when you become the Grand Inquisitor, not only do you have to dress the right way, you got to gain weight, shave your head, and you got to look exactly like that dude.
Okay,
all right. You got to look like Death from Bill and Ted and sound like Palpatine.
Now, hold on. I do want to say
it.
That as tough as we're being on this part of the episode.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous.
Reva does call out to Obi-Wan, he's alive. You didn't know he's alive. And so I do kind of love, how would Obi-Wan know that Anakin survived? I mean, he didn't have any limbs and he was burning alive in a lava planet. And so the fact that now Obi-Wan knows, that is a great, that I'm glad we're getting that out of the way early in this show. I'm glad that we're getting out of the way
now
early.
that I'm thinking about it, maybe, if, as you said earlier, if Reva was a youngling, maybe she has a strong bond with Darth Vader.
That could be. Or...
Right? So she's going to go in, she's going to be like, I will accept this job as fourth sister as long as there's a possibility of promotion.
Third sister, but right.
I want to be promoted to second sister if and when possible. Yeah,
because as a youngling, she had a relationship to Vader.
Right.
Well, I was going to go the other way, in that because they have been so inept in catching Obi-Wan, I wonder if the big twist is that Reva is still on the good guy side. Now, that said, we did see her in the very first episode cut off an innocent woman's hand. And that made me like her as a character. I'm like, okay, this character is a real threat. She was getting a little bit of guff from these losers here on Tatooine.
Look,
I'll show you I'm serious business. I'll just chop off a hand. I love that.
She asked for a round of applause. She didn't get it.
But
said,
what
give me
if... Give me a break. Give me a break. But what if she's actually on the good guy side, Catfish? What if she's trying to find Obi-Wan to save him? Because let's be honest, she really, even though she cut off this innocent woman's hand, so I'm not going to let that go.
I mean, you say innocent.
But we didn't see her kill the Jedi in the first episode. And in a lot of ways, she's done more damage to the bad guys than she has to the good guys at Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but mostly because they were interfering and being dicks. Like, in other words, if you take them at face value, they had given up trying to find Obi-Wan. Yep. And she was the one who pushed things so that she was the one who was maybe going to kill Owen and force Obi-Wan to show himself until the Grand Inquisitor came by and said, why are you being mean to all these people? That's not what we do.
Right, you're hurting our PR.
We just inquise.
We put out surveys.
We're inquising. Stop being mean. Inquise.
Now, hey, okay.
Yes. Okay, so basically what you're now agreeing is that a supposition is completely wrong.
I'm saying I'm going on a wild leap. I'm saying what if Reva's actually a good guy?
Well, I wouldn't. Look, even though we have proof that doesn't make sense, doesn't mean that they won't do it.
Hey, now the episode ends with whose eyes, Catfish? But Hayden Christensen, this actor,
Dreamboat,
Catfish. Yep. This actor, we don't talk.
What's he been doing?
We don't talk about this too much, Catfish, but. He is an actor.
Okay.
You have done acting. I have done acting.
What's he been doing? I bet he's been doing stuff. Sure, why not?
I'm saying that here he is.
Anything
He's getting
you heard
another chance to get out there and do his craft. And
Sure.
Are you excited about Hayden Christensen as Anakin or as Vader? I guess really now.
Is there any other question you want to ask me?
Are you excited about Darth Vader being in the series now?
I'm sorry. I was asking if you wanted it. Okay, am I excited about Darth Vader being in the series?
Yes. I am too. So you
that wasn't the first question.
That was what you were asking.
Careful listeners can note the difference between the two questions you asked me and the one that I
terrible.
answered and the one I didn't answer.
Okay.
Yes.
So, hey, that's the episode. That is our first taste. It's actually 1/3.
But it was free.
Yeah, the first taste was free. But it is 1/3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're
What?
a third done with it
We
already.
only have 6 of these?
Only 6 of these. So,
Disney.
Catfish, what is your thought going forward? Give us a summation based on these 2 episodes.
My summation is that I guess little Leia, Double L Lil Leia, is going to learn not to be such a brat. But I don't care about that transformation.
Wow, you are like Trader Tika. You are just giving me stuff that you've already given me.
What if I'm
You're selling me stuff I already know.
What if I'm like Reva and I'm being mean, but actually, really is what I'm being nice?
I'm going to give you a hand the way Reva gave that person a hand. All right, hey, Catfish, that's the episode.
I love it.
So now it's time for what we do at the end of every episode of
boy,
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Parsec Passion.
I forgot. What is it that we do? It's been so long.
We give our Mandalicious line of the episode.
All right.
Catfish.
We'll
Our
cover for the first 2. All right. I'm going to pitch you the ones.
All right, let's hear it.
I'm going to pitch you the ones. The first one is the Jawa saying the cleaning costs extra. I love that.
Okay, that's good.
I love that. I'm not going to give it to you after Rise Above because I said we all learned that. And at one point in this episode, somebody says, is kind of a joke, he says, judgmental. And I didn't know who that was, but that was a funny line when it happened. And if I had known who it was, you would like to. And then it was Owen.
Oh, man.
When Obi-Wan says when the time comes he has to be trained, and Owen goes, like you trained his father.
Oh,
I burn.
so good.
Do you want to go with one of those, Bubba, or do you have one of your own you want to pitch?
No, I'm going to go with that one only because podcasting with you is like raising a glory. Oh. And due to context, we'll have to know that
I wish I knew what that meant.
From context, we know that that's terrible.
All right, I am going to go with cleaning costs extra. I just love it. I love every time I see the Jawas. They're so good.
They are good. More
They're so
Jawa.
good. You know what? The Jawas don't get duped. And if Leia was with a Jawa, she'd learn fast. All right, and besides that,
it is time for our Double M.
Double M.
Musical maestro, Matt Murdick.
Whoa, man. He's got a lot to cover, I think, this time.
Know that. The last time you heard me do that terrible impression, we talked all about John Williams and his new theme for Benny in the series Obi-Wan. This time around, let's turn our focus to the person who's doing most of the score-heavy lifting for this show. While Williams created a great theme, it's very important to understand how Natalie Holt has been using that theme very well in the course of the show to represent scenes with Obi-Wan, which I don't need to explain all of that again. You can hear the theme distinctly when she uses it. This is what she meant when she said in the Vanity Fair article that she was using John Williams' theme, which I also thought might mean more Star Wars themes as well. But so far, just the Obi-Wan theme, at least as far as the first 2 episodes go, that she would use his theme as the tent poles, meaning that that's going to do a lot of holding up of the roof, right? But the way she incorporates the theme is very clever, and I want to compliment her on that. But more so, I want to pay attention to what she's writing for this show. And that included a theme for young Princess Leia, one that I just absolutely fell in love with the first time I heard it. And speaking of the first time that we heard it, it was heavily orchestrated with a lot of moving parts, which I will never be able to duplicate completely on the piano. But here's my approximation of it. Just a really interesting piece of music when you consider that the melody is very simple, but she applied somewhat of a, I guess you would call it like a minimalist technique to this, if you're familiar with that style of composing. And if you're not, it just means that usually things change very little. For instance, that running line stays the same pretty much no matter where the harmony changes. Sometimes you call those ostinato patterns. Not sure if I want to do that here, simply because sometimes the notes do change with the chord, but it's constant, and the changes are very minimal. I'm sure you could tell by my struggle with the piano, but if I play it by itself, it sounds just like this. The notes just don't move. And it's kind of like Leia's attitude. When Obi-Wan encounters her in the second episode, he comments on her stubbornness and thinks about how that reminds him of Leia's real mother. But that's what an ostinato pattern does, or a minimalistic type pattern where things very slowly change. So it's a great representation of the character, not just of young Leia, but of who Leia really becomes. The first time that we hear this particular theme, the melody itself, which is very simple, just a few notes, is actually carried in the very bottom of the orchestra. That's very, very simplistic. Just a few notes. And it's got a shape of reaching. Then, after we find out that the person that's being dressed isn't Leia at all, we hear that same motif, that same melody repurposed in a slightly different register as she's out playing in the woods. This time, the tempo is a little faster. After all, this is a girl out playing, not getting dressed up for some boring event, right? And though it's a little lighter, you do still get that ostinato pattern. I'm not going to try and play it here, but it's just that same rhythmic pattern repeating over and over and over. She's changed the key, she's changed the tempo, she's changed the phrasing. And what I mean by that is, the melody doesn't fall exactly in the same places of the beat from one instance to the other. It's still the same notes. It's still the same melody. But it's kind of like if you were singing Sweet Caroline and you took a couple extra seconds before you did the dun, dun, dun. That's what I mean by changing the phrasing. She still makes it work within time, but the way that she incorporates the phrasing this time, it actually becomes more playful, just like the mood that Leia is having right now. I love it. And I also love the way that it was played in yet another different way when her and her adopted father, Bail Organa, were discussing her apologizing to her cousin and how people change slightly as they grow older. That version was much more tender. And again, I can't really duplicate it great on the piano, but here's my approximation. Now, the interesting thing here is you might have noticed that that middle version that I played seemingly had a different harmony. It had more of a rising harmony, whereas this version returns back to the original harmony that we heard, where it goes from a tonic chord to a minor 5 chord. You don't need know those numbers. You can probably just recognize that the harmony sounds the same between what I just played and the first thing that I played, if you can get past all of the cluttery notes that I was putting in there as well. So in this way, Natalie may be, and I'm going to need more time to be able to distinguish this for sure, but my running theory right now is that when things are tied specifically to Alderaan or to Mommy and Daddy, you're going to hear that harmony more. And when we're seeing Leia on her own, if she's having fun, not like she was not having fun in the second episode, but if she's having fun, we might hear the more rising harmony that we heard in the second instance. And that's all I've got for this week. Back to Bubba and Catfish.
Thank you very much, Matt. Now we're going to end this podcast the way we never end podcasts.
What?
Because Catfish, we would normally have our Bounty Hunter Guild battle. as we debate a topic based on these episodes and then go for the puck.
Yeah, but you know what, Bubba?
What?
I feel like let's not cause disharmony. Let's increase the peace because we just went to an amazing event that I think we should talk about.
Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022.
2022, y'all.
It is incredible. It is. We went for just one day.
One day.
We spent.
Felt like 3 days.
It
Holy
did.
cow.
There's so much to see, so much to do. There are way too many panels, but what's crazy is there's so many attendees, they're almost impossible to get into some of these great panels. There are the best things. Let's hear your list of the best things at the convention. I'll do my best, and then you do your worst at the convention. I'll do my worst.
Okay, I feel bad that I did not remember the name of this company, but some company had Star Wars figures different. And you know, Bubba, the thing that we talked about, we both agree on, is that our favorite costumes at these Star Wars celebrations are the ones that are mashups. The mashup of Star Wars and something else. The one that we saw that we'd seen before was amazing. It was it was like a Nike stormtrooper. He had a boombox and he had some gold and he had some ladies with him this time. But the best mashup I saw was someone who was a Mandalorian and an Aztec warrior in combination. And we will tweet that one out from the Double PHQ feed. But one of the coolest things I saw was figurine mashups, and they had figures from Star Wars combined with like feudal Japan, and these were amazing,
incredible,
beautiful figures.
And they were not cheap, and you didn't want them to be cheap because somebody had spent a lot of time making these things. They were so incredible. Beautiful.
I wish I could think of the company. I feel so bad. I'm just going to tease you with it. That was my favorite thing from the convention. What was your favorite thing, Bubba?
Well, I'm going to give you two runners up first.
Give me two.
First and foremost, there's this thing, there's this kind of exhibition you walk through called like the Droid Depot, where you see every type of droids that this is fans made. These aren't Lucasfilm droids. This is every type of these droids.
These are serious. I mean, they spend thousands of dollars on it.
Droids from the video games, droids from the animated series, droids from the movies, but with their own unique spins on them. Those were incredible.
And Bubba, we'd seen some of those before, but there were more this time. And at the end of it was the greatest thing ever. It was so awesome, Bubba. Tell people what it was.
It was R2-D2 on a spinning wheel, on a lazy Susan, I think they used to be called it.
Sure.
Sure. Is it a lazy Susan?
Well, yes, but electronic, yes. It was just a spinning.
And it was R2 with every single accessory you've ever seen in any movie coming out of every orifice of R2. This thing was incredible.
It was so amazing.
A lot of people make homemade R2s, and they are really incredible. A lot of people make homemade spins on R2, and they are incredible. But this one was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. It was beyond incredible. So that's a runner-up.
That is a runner-up. Bubba, I think we should tweet a picture of that R2 from our Double PHQ as well. I love it. Okay, spinning.
So the other runner-up I'm going to give.
Oh my God! You're so much better at this than I am. Yes.
Is to this person, and I've got video of this. I'll have to tweet it out as well at Double PHQ.
Okay.
Is somebody had an animated probe droid, the kind of probe droid I mentioned earlier in this episode, where it's floating. Admittedly, it's got one arm attached to a stand that looks like ice, so it's floating over Hoth.
Sure.
And it's
got to roll somehow. There's no such thing as speeder technology.
And it had two controllers. There was one guy controlling its movement, another guy controlling the droid's head-spinning sound. It was incredible.
That was awesome.
So all of this stuff is not stuff Lucasfilm did. It's not something that the organizers of the convention did. I mean, they gave the room to these people to put droids in, but once again,
this is just fans. This is amazing. This is a fan who didn't get anything extra.
Right.
Just paid his money, showed up with this amazing thing that he spent a whole bunch of time and money on, and just got to walk it through.
And so that gets to my real favorite thing. Is I've mentioned fans a bunch. The fans make this convention. The fans dressed up. Whether it's the mashup of the Aztec warrior and the Mandalorian you mentioned before, or I had somebody dressed up as Han Solo, but it was Grover dressed as Han Solo. Like every mashup, every fan dressed up was incredible. I was having this great trying to talk with Catfish because there's so many people dressed up, so many people having fun with these costumes. I was like, are there more Leias or are there more Reys on the female side? Are there more Mandalorians with their own unique spin, or are there more Stormtroopers with their own unique spin? It's incredible what the fans do to this convention and how they come and how they prepare. And it makes all the displays and everything that is kind of official you see there just like icing on the top, because you could just stand outside this convention all day and be blown away by people's costumes. That was my favorite thing.
Awesome. I love it.
Okay, what could they do to improve the convention, or what was the worst thing at Star Wars Celebration?
All right, well, I got to be honest. We spent a lot of time walking around, seeing a lot of cool stuff. But lodged in my mind is the hour plus that we waited for the Rancho Obi-Wan collection of older things from Star Wars, toys, all sorts of things that were sold. They were cool, but literally we waited an hour in a line that was outside of the little ballroom.
Correct.
And we're like, all right, we're finally in. And then we get in, and there was another
4
lines
so
twisting.
Oh,
so literally we waited an hour for this thing. The coolest thing that I saw and I took a picture of there was so amazing, and we'll tweet this out as well, is a Mandalorian mixed with Evel Knievel.
Oh, yeah.
So good, Mandalorian wearing an Evel Knievel suit. But I will say this. I don't know if it was because people were waiting too long or what, but it was just too long. They needed to do time entry or something with that.
Yes.
It was too long to wait.
Well, here's my negative thing about this is that they have a exhibit there at the convention called the Mando Experience, where you see things like the full-size Naboo fighter that they used in this most recent season of the Book of Boba Fett.
We really enjoyed that. Oh, wait, why
no,
wasn't
we
it on
couldn't
your
get
list?
like literally.
Oh, no.
This thing sold out every day, 13 minutes after they would open and get timed entry, and so they need to do a way. People have come from a long way to go to these conventions. People spend a lot of money to go to these conventions. If they have to keep certain exhibits up 24/7 so everybody can get to enjoy them, I think they need to. So that's my only negative. Otherwise, I want to say we were there close to 9 hours, and it was just a blast. It was wonderful.
Yeah. It is so great to go and just see, like you said, like the fan energy is so amazing, and people just going for it. It's awesome.
We've got a lot of photos already up on our @DoublePHQ Instagram account. Go to Facebook.com/DoublePHQ. We'll put everything there, and on Twitter we've tweeted out some of the stuff, but there's so much more to come. So @DoublePHQ, retweet, like, and you'll be eligible to win some of the great prizes and stuff we got.
Holy cow!
At the convention,
yes,
Star Wars
it is
Celebration.
So good. We got some good, such delicious stuff. And if you want to hit me up personally, you can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter. And now I am also on Instagram as well, which is amazing.
Incredible.
I finally, Bubba, have joined Instagram.
What's your handle?
To make things really confusing, instead of
you are the
using
5th
that
brother,
same
the 67th
one,
brother on
instead of
Instagram.
using that, I have a completely different handle.
Oh, no.
And I am called G to the Man. That is GEE to the Man. That is me. You can hit me up on Instagram. Follow me. I'll follow you. Bubba, what about you?
My name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter @FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM @FitandTrim on Twitter.
What about Instagram?
@FitandTrim on Instagram.
Oh, that was a horrible mistake, but I hated my Twitter handle, so I've got a new one.
Guys, if you're enjoying our coverage on Parsec Passion, we want you to definitely check out some of our other podcasts on other feeds. At Double PHQ, you'll find out about our Double P podcast feed, which coming up on June 28th, we're going to be covering only Murders in the Building. We're also coming up in August, got 2 shows on the docket. We've got House of the Dragon, Season 1, the new Game of Thrones show, Catfish. And at the very last day of August, August 31st, we're going to be breaking down Andor, the next Star Wars TV show.
Yeah, heck yeah, Andor. Meet James Andor. All right, Bubba.
The Rebels' famous killer.
This is so exciting. We've got so much coming up. But before any of that comes up, we've got 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes of Obi-Wan. And we'll have new titles for them. Forget episodes. We'll have titles for them because here We do it all correctly and for you guys on
Parsec Passion Podcast. Where is the client action figure at Celebration? Oh, it's here, but you can't buy it anywhere.
I saw one, but I said, look, it's a Grief Karga.